Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. Not a whole lot to say today because it gets really redundant, doesn't it? Going over the same thing Monday after Monday. Browns lose. It's now Monday. And it's not like I can really talk any of you, hi, Jade Wolf, out, off the ledge. At this point, I can't do that. Because if you haven't jumped yet, you're a sane person. And if you've jumped, then you're a fool. Why give your life to something as meaningless as Jimmy Haslam and the Cleveland Browns? But we are here to talk about some of the fun stuff that we talk about in general. First thing that I want to talk about, I had to decide, which liar I would talk about first, Hue Jackson or LeVar Ball. But I think because this is a Northeast Ohio program, as far as sports is concerned, I think I'll talk about Hue Jackson first. Here's the Hue Jackson quote that you've been waiting for. Deshaun has improved. He obviously has from the beginning of the year until now. Obviously, some of the things that we've talked about earlier in the year reared its ugly head yesterday late in the game. There were some things that I thought early he did well, but as the game went on, there were some things that he needed to do better. Now, let's really take that comment into its totality. First, Deshaun has improved. Now, I think the Pittsburgh game was a much better game for him. That was the first one of the season. He obviously has improved from the beginning of the year until now. That's obviously not the truth, all right? Some of the things that we've talked about earlier in the year reared its ugly head again yesterday. Well, it's reared its head almost every single week with this ass clown. I mean, let's be honest about it, folks. I mean, what we've talked about since the beginning of the year is inaccuracy, throwing the ball to the other team, being stripped and sacked, holding on to the ball too long, staring down receivers. This is something, you don't expect malaria to just go away because you wish it away. And this is the way it is with Deshaun Kaiser. More comments. Kaiser's passes sailed on him at times as he struggled to connect with Josh Gordon. He has trouble connecting with everybody. It doesn't matter how open they are. I mean, this guy would miss a 7-Eleven, and that's open 24 hours a day. He also underthrew Gordon once. Then he overthrew him once. Then he threw him into the ground, into the side of him, to the left of him, to the right. Then he fired a couple of low and barely catchable balls. One that went off Kenny Britt's hand, which isn't difficult because even if you put it on the numbers, it would go off Kenny Britt's hand. He also tried to look for Gordon at times when he was tightly covered. He doesn't see the field. Hi, oh, wait, I'm hearing somebody knocking on my barn door. It's Bronk. Hi, Bronk.
Good show yesterday. Nice to hear from DG for a change.
Yeah, it was nice.
More.
Yeah, I mean, it just, DG is such a long-term listener of the program.
Oh, God, probably longer than me, I think.
But, the sad thing is that, we all have lives and we tend to drift in, drift out, drift in. And there was nothing between DG and I. It wasn't anything like that. But I think that maybe DG resented the fact that I used his blackness to prove that I'm not a racist. I think maybe. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't take me seriously. You had to sit there and consider that, didn't you?
I did. Did I have that look of like I was thinking about that one?
DG's got a point there. Oh, that's funny. We're talking about Hue Jackson and his abnormal mental processes.
You were on a roll there, so I shouldn't have interrupted. So
no, that's all right. I'm glad because I'm reading quotes, but so I don't have the cam in front of me, the studio in front of me. So yeah, anytime you come on, just moo, and I'll say either I'm hearing things or somebody.
I have a very distinctive moo. I mean, you can't confuse me with anyone else.
Moo. Moo. It is the most bland moo.
It is, man. I am very bland. I have a thing to say about improving.
Sure.
And I'm sure you have many comments to make about this, but the thing about what really bugs me about certain people in this world, and Kaiser seems like he is one of these people, is that if you do the same thing daily or weekly and you're not improving, you gotta fucking investigate why.
Yeah, I think that's
you gotta fucking sort it out. I mean, there's people in the music field. I play in amateur groups and stuff like that, and they'll come, and for years and years, and then there's obviously the odd people that never get better. If you're playing in a band of like 30 people, and you got 3 schmucks that show up, and they're still playing the same wrong notes every week. I mean, you look at it like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to the rest of us? We're trying to get better.
But you'd be amazed in all walks of life. I play tennis. I've played tennis with guys.
They never get better.
There's one guy who will remain nameless who plays doubles, and
I'm sure he watches the show.
He does the same thing every time. He's short, and he comes into the net. A non-pressuring shots, he comes into the net, and all you do is you just lob the ball over his head, you win the point. And over and over and over again.
And they're amazed. They're amazed that it goes wrong.
Yeah, well, and so one time I was partnered with him.
Oh my God.
And I just said to him, something, I'll just stay back. You just come in all you want. And he goes, that's great because that's the way I play. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Homie rules like that, and it's like, oh, please make it stop.
So Kaiser is one of these people, isn't
he?
He's not getting better. He is fucking not getting better.
No, I don't see how anyone could come to the conclusion that he is improving. This is what Hue Jackson said. Deshaun is still a growing young quarterback. He's working hard.
He lies. How many times have you said he's lied on this program?
You're going to take the good with the bad. He's done some good things. He did some things that he has to continue to grow and learn from. I am not down on him. I want Deshaun to keep working at this. He knows he has my backing and my support, but he knows there are some areas he has to grow and grow up pretty fast, and he's taken the challenge. But then, in the same breath,
okay,
this is what makes Hue. Don't believe him. Here we go. It's not a good problem because it means you're losing, but it's a problem that in this situation you want to have, Jackson said, as far as being able to draft a quarterback in the first round. We can't have too many good quarterbacks right now on this football team.
Fuck. Yeah, good quarterbacks.
Keep grooming. It's like grooming this Kaiser for oblivion. I mean, it's, so now it's Rosen and Darnold.
The difference between me, my feelings for Hue Jackson, my feelings for Kaiser, so I can actually work up some sympathy for Kaiser because really he should still be in university or in some minor league version of American football. He shouldn't be playing starting quarterback for any professional football team of any note whatsoever. And really he isn't. But Hue Jackson, he is a terrible man manager. He's a terrible liar because everybody sees through him. And he doesn't fucking know any talent either.
Well, I mean, here's General Dog in the chat room. Josh Gordon hadn't played a game in 3 years, still put himself in a position to blow the Chargers away. If we had an accurate quarterback, Gordon gets 2 TDs and 120-plus yards receiving. Absolutely. And
he's got talent.
Yeah, underthrown, overthrown, but it doesn't really matter who he's throwing to. He hasn't, they said, well, his timing isn't yet, he doesn't have the chemistry and timing with Gordon. Well, who does he have it with? Who does he have it with?
What did they do in practice all week? What have they done since July and the fucking, rookie camp and that? What have they done?
I don't know.
Why somebody asked that? What do they do every week? Because he's not getting better.
I'm just like, and then here's what the Cleveland.com writer of the article says.
Oh, I stopped reading them. I can't handle it anymore. Hurts my head.
At the same time, Jackson still believes in Kaiser, who has shown flashes of franchise ability this season. When? what have I missed? I don't know. I mean, I'm beginning to think I've got CTE. I'm beginning to think there's something wrong, something terribly wrong with my brain. I mean, I am seeing this every week, and I don't see franchise ability.
Yeah, what's your major malfunction, soldier?
Oh, God. Sergeant Hulka.
So I didn't watch the whole game. I was at a band rehearsal all day, and I came home and I was absolutely knackered. I saw about 10 minutes of it. I actually saw the Browns score a touchdown, and then they gave the game up straight away right after that. So, I watched the halftime show, and then I went to bed.
And then we have this from the Cleveland Browns, which is what Mr. Moohead calls the "you could win the mega jackpot lottery" comment. Okay? Now, here's what you say to a guy who's in stage 4 pancreatic cancer, has no chance of survival. Yep. You look at him square in the eyes and you say to him, hey, forget that scratch-off ticket. You could be the winner, and you could set your family for life with the lottery winnings. You could enjoy the last days on earth as a millionaire. And it's like,
wow,
you're going to ride with that? Here's what the Cleveland Browns do. We all know players make huge improvements from year 1 to year 2 because all of a sudden you understand the speed of the game. Players like Jared Goff have made stunning turnarounds out from their rookie years. Last season, Goff went 0-7, completed 54% of his passes, and threw 5 touchdowns against 7 picks. He ended up with a 63.6 rating, but this year he's 9-3, completing 62% of his passes. But, for every Jared Goff, there's a Dak Prescott, who last year was really good, and this year he really sucks. Now,
yeah, okay.
Take away his running back, take away his running game, and Dak Prescott looks like the guy who wouldn't be a first-round pick coming out of Mississippi State. That's what Dak Prescott looks like today. Now, you can sit there and say, well, of course, we all know players make huge improvements from year 1 to year 2. Corey Coleman hasn't. Hey, look, I could tell you a bunch of Cleveland Browns. I mean, the history.
I got the perfect example of that.
Yep, go ahead.
Wait for it. Brian Robisky.
Oh, my God.
Did he ever get better?
No. I mean, the fact is, you can tell by looking at these guys. I mean, what
they have no talent. They don't belong here.
No, we're going to wait for, how about Ricardo Lewis?
Oh,
players don't make huge improvements from year 1 to year 2. Now, occasionally somebody wins the lottery and occasionally somebody really improves. But you know something? A horse turd is a horse turd. And from year 1 to year 2 doesn't make a damn bit of difference. And this is how the Cleveland Browns continue to blunder their way through the present and move it forward into the future, is they come up with these odd defenses that say, I guess there's always a chance, ... Oh, my God. 6 meters says Massaquoi. Remember Massaquoi? I forgot about him.
Mohammed, man.
I forgot about him.
Yeah. Was he a Muslim or an American Indian? I was never quite sure with that name.
How about Emmanuel Lewis? Wasn't that the little kid who was on that show with...
Yeah. Gary Coleman.
No, Emmanuel Lewis. Wasn't that the name of the child? The other little black child actor who was in that television series with Alex Karras?
I don't know. I don't live in your country, man. We don't get all of your shit over here.
I don't even remember Emmanuel Lewis. I'm just, yeah. But Muhammad Masvidal, Greg Little didn't get better in his second year. I mean, lots of guys that we draft never get better in their second year. You know, that's just, it's more bullshit. But you see, if you're in the mood for liars, okay, and I promised I would segue into this, because life just wouldn't be nearly as much fun if it weren't for people like LeVar Ball.
Oh, I'm so bored with him.
Who almost justify racism. I mean, this guy is absolutely ridiculous.
What, do you think somebody should pull him aside and say, listen, you're making us look bad? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he pulled his son, LiAngelo, out of UCLA, all right?
Yeah.
And the fact is, the news was first reported by TMZ, that great sports outlet. I mean,
hey, they're the only people reporting real stuff out there in the world, I think.
The idiot shoplifted in China, okay? But he's the son of an idiot, so it doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah, they got their, what, 18, 19, 17, you know, how old are these people, you know?
Well, he didn't play a single game at UCLA after being suspended from the team. Here's what LeVar Ball told ESPN. I'm not sitting back and waiting. He wasn't punished this bad in China. We get back over here and the consequences were even stiffer than in China. They're basically in jail here. Meanwhile, UCLA coach Steve Alford issued a statement Monday. We learned today of LiAngelo Ball's intention to withdraw from UCLA, he said. We respect the decision he and his family have made. We wish him all the best in the future. Bye!
Bye. Bye. Bye.
God almighty. I hope the little watch was worth it, LiAngelo. Bye. You know, and it's like the world is going. This is like.
Okay. Are we going to be old men complaining about how kids today and all that shit?
No.
Oh, please don't.
No, there's one commonality between Lonzo and LiAngelo, and that's their father, okay? That's the common denominator they taught us in the new math.
So it's not the kids' fault because they ain't raised right.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is horrible judgment, to be sure, but you see, what is the punishment, okay? The punishment is that he wasn't going to be allowed to play at UCLA, not until, they meted out the punishment that they felt was fair for what this kid did in China, all right? However, Ball said he hasn't decided where his son LiAngelo will play this season. I'm going to make him way better for the draft than UCLA ever could.
Oh.
He's not transferring to another school, he told ESPN.
Wait a minute. Is he going to be homeschooled for the NBA draft? Is that what you're trying to tell me? He's going to be homeschooled?
Yeah, the plan is now to get Jello ready for the NBA draft.
Oh, make it stop.
I know. And you wonder how these people end up fucked up. And you think Lonzo wasn't ready. And this is how it ruins people. This is how people go down the shitter, because you know what they do? They become going from high profile into becoming abject failures. Yeah. Take a guy like Anthony Bennett. Anthony Bennett probably was getting blown regularly, at UNLV. And then all of a sudden, once the crash comes, the guy can't get a job even playing anywhere. And you're never going to hear from him again except 10 years from now in the whatever happened to bin. And it's going to be a
quiz question on some.
Well, it's going to be a humiliating video story that'll run.
God. Well, he'll be in some 7-Eleven with a son-off shotgun or something. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, that he's going to have some kind of a minimum wage job, and the guy is not going to have amounted to anything. And you know something? And a lot of it is because of unfair, expectations. But another part of it is when a father is this over the top and is so convinced that his son is going to do this, and this. It's unhealthy, the whole thing. It's just
I'll make a sort of devil's advocate comment here. I think there are children of coaches and sons, and there's children of musicians out there that learn from their parents, but these parents are doing that via their employment. So other people value these people's skills. You don't see Ball being employed by some university for his coaching ability because he don't have it. So there are trained people out there that are able to raise their kids to do well. Who was the guy we had on from the Bulls that that couldn't play here? But anyway, it's a bad example. But there are cases of that happening. But then there's crazy ones like that tennis player from Slovenia, that Dokic or whatever her name was, the wacky father.
Yeah. I mean, here's LeVar again. He said earlier Monday that he hadn't informed the coaching staff at UCLA that he's pulling his son. I haven't told any of those guys, LeVar said. They didn't tell me anything, so why am I going to tell them? I mean, it's like, please. I mean, is there no shred of decency in any of this? I mean, it's bad enough that he was going to be a one and done, and that was all up front. But, and here's an editor's pick story. How could homeschooling affect LiAngelo Ball's future draft stock? I mean, can you imagine? LeVar Ball is going to be looking over the homeschooling. Yeah, that's just brilliant.
It's really arrogant of a lot of these homeschool people to think that they're actually better than the trained, employed people that are out there. That's part of the problem I have with all
that. Here we go. Jim Harbaugh's Twitter game is in off-season form as the calendar flips to December. The Michigan head coach took aim at Mark D'Antonio, his in-state rival, with the social media jab. Saw Coach D comments on continuing to focus on how he can beat Michigan. Congrats on turning around a 3-9 team plagued with off-field issues. Good for BIG to have him back. The response came a day after D'Antonio was asked about the bowl destinations for his Spartans of the Wolverines. Michigan State at 9-3, playing the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? The San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl.
I bet Michelle doesn't even know this game is going on, and she lives in San Diego. So,
Michigan at 8-4 landed in the Outback Bowl.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of Michigan State people that are now protesting Outback and will never eat there again. It's just so hilarious.
And you know what's even funnier about college football? So Jimbo Fisher leaves Florida State, right? Okay. He gone, But Florida State was 5-6 going into their final week. They won at 6-6, and they became bowl eligible with a 6-6 record.
Yep.
I mean, who in the hell would go to see a bowl game with a team that is 6-6, whose coach has just left?
I mean, at the beginning of the year, they played Alabama, and they happened to have been ranked number 3 at the time. So college football is fucked. I mean,
and then this, Ben McAdoo gets fired. Eli Manning gets his job back.
Huh?
Yeah, Eli Manning is going to return as the New York Giants starting quarterback after a 1-week demotion, and it all happened after the head coach was fired.
Okay.
And, of course, Geno Smith started in his place. Like, Geno Smith was going to be the answer, right?
Geno Smith, man.
Another guy who Wasn't he a West Virginia quarterback in that?
Yeah. He's like a run and shoot sort of.
Yeah, another one of those guys.
Well,
Wow.
Geno Smith, Troy Smith. Yeah, they all sort of run together. J.R. Smith.
All right, now we have this for you, for all happy Cleveland fans. Derrick Rose rejoins Cavs, who say they're happy to have him back.
No, I'm not. Bye. Bye, Derrick. No, he doesn't belong in Cleveland.
Well, nobody is ever going to know. My feeling is that he went. He had to have, during this off period, he had to have gone to his own doctors. He probably wanted to get away from the possibility of staph infection.
Who could blame him for that?
LaCharles Bentley saying, "Get the fuck out of town, man! Get out of town!"
Yeah, we never hear about your best bud, LaCharles, these days. He doesn't send you Christmas cards. He doesn't do anything for you, does he?
CTE is a rough thing, man. CTE is a rough thing. LaCharles has an anger management problem. What can I tell you? What a schmuck. What a schmuck he is. What an absolute schmuck.
On a really slow sports day, you should tell your new listeners some of your LaCharles Bentley stories.
I'll tell my LaCharles Bentley story right now.
It's pretty hilarious.
LaCharles wanted to do an internet show.
Yep.
And he did not really know how to go about doing it. And because he had such a bad break with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Because of that, I felt kind of bad for the guy. And so I wrote to him and personally said to him, I'll tell you what, I'd be more than happy to share my server with you. It's not going to cost you a dime. It's not going to cost you anything. If you want to try doing a show and do that, and that way you feel comfortable with what you're doing and the whole thing, then you go off and do what you do. And it's exactly what I did for Derek Fournier over at What the Buck, who's doing a wonderful job for the Tampa Bay Bucks with his What the Buck site. And it's what I've done with a lot of people in the past. So I figured, what the hell? You extend the hoof of peace,
Exactly.
The hoof of
peace. The hoof of peace, yes.
So LaCharles writes me back and says, "Who in the fuck are you?" "I'm LaCharles Bentley. Who are you?"
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, okay. I owned radio stations across the country, and I'm qualified to assess a person's skill level and know how to work somebody in the program to get the best out of them. Or if you want to do a solo show, I could critique it and help that way." He goes, "I don't need you. I don't need you at all." And he was such a total prick. And I didn't even have a chance. And he blocks me. He blocked me.
I remember.
and for offering him help. And so once he blocked me, I just told all of the internet that he blocked me, which was the only block that he'd made in Cleveland.
Didn't make any other ass. And if we're going to feel sorry for anybody from the Cleveland Browns, let's feel sorry for Gary Baxter and what happened to his legs on one play. Exactly. Feel sorry for Baxter.
You try to help somebody, and that's what happens, I guess.
That's beyond having it thrown back in your face. That's like kicked in the head with it. That's one of the worst stories I've ever heard, man.
We're getting some comments. How about the Dollar General Bowl? All right, here's Tony the Calf. The Cheribundi Tart Cherry Boca Raton Bowl. Akron versus Florida Atlantic. Boy, howdy. Yeah, there's one I would go see. The Akron team that lost twice badly to Toledo. I want to see them in a fucking bowl game. Yeah, boy.
College football, man. It's fucked. And I have nothing to say about Ohio State not making the playoffs. I mean, it's like back in the Olympics when there was Russian judges. You always knew you were going to get screwed, so you just didn't worry about it, I mean,
and when Ohio State fans quit complaining,
exactly.
Please.
Stop complaining.
Make it stop. Make it stop.
I'm a Life alumni member, and I actually lived in the stadium. And I'm telling people to not complain about it. Just get on with your life.
Here, before I get back to the Derrick Rose thing, I just want to say the second coming of Dwayne Bowe is still in first in the league. Up 3 on Lance, up 5 on Gmo, up 5 on Pure Rage, who has fallen back. And
I actually had a good week. I had 12 right this week.
Wow, I only had 10. I'm down. I'm 8 behind. But it's what happens as the season progresses. Sometimes you just run out of gas, and here I am running out of gas. So, boy, the second coming of Dwayne Bowe has been leading from the beginning. I don't think we've ever had a starting gun to tape.
No.
Finish in first, so he could win a special edition virtual coffee mug, which would be.
To be fair, though, I let a while for the year I won it.
Yeah, but that's impressive to go.
It's better than what I did, that's for sure.
From hither to yon at number 1. Now, as far as Derrick Rose is concerned, I imagine he went to see his doctors and they told him the same thing. It's not that your ankle is so fucked up; it's that your ankle is so fucked up because you don't heal for shit. So now he's back. Here's what Kobe Altman said. This has been a very challenging and difficult time for Derrick. We'll continue to provide him with support and have patience as he rejoins his teammates and works his way back onto the court. The team did not release a timetable for his return to the court, but Coach Tyronn Lue said he thought Rose might miss a couple of weeks, hopefully a lot more than that. No, might miss a couple more weeks.
I don't think he's coachable. I don't think Lou has any control over the guy. So why have him on a team?
Now, meanwhile, Lou said he didn't know where Rose has been all this time.
Exactly. So he has no control over this clown. Why would we want him back? And LeBron hasn't made any comments, has he?
No, we're happy to have him back, Lou said. Glad he's back. Glad he's in a good place and started his rehab today. The implication is, well, he had stopped with his rehab. So, fuck it.
Well, I don't know. What do you think? The winning streak's sort of going on while he hasn't been around.
Dwayne Wade is doing such a phenomenal job with the second unit and tonight we get to see it in action. He gets to play against his former teammate, the Bulls. And the Bulls are 3-18 this year. It's been a tough year for the Bulls. But hey, a lot of these 3-18, 4-17 teams are giving us a real run for our money, and in some instances beating us. So I really.
They're motivated when they play us. Good for them. But I think it's hilarious looking at the Central Division standings. If you can't be a Cleveland fan, look and see Chicago down where they are and not laugh, then there's something wrong with you.
And for those people saying, well, how about the Brooklyn Nets? The Brooklyn Nets are 8-14. And they are, as far as the East is concerned, the third worst record in the East. Right? So they're sinking like a stone. The Celtics are at 20-4, but don't look behind you. 16-7, the Cavaliers. I want to remind people that if you extrapolate, SAT word, a season from the first 23 games, the Cavaliers are at a pace to win approximately 56 games, which is more than what they won last year, which seems remarkable based upon the start that the teams had.
Yeah, well, I was pretty level-headed about them not doing a good start, I wasn't, I'm not worried. I'm still not worried.
Well, right now I'm a lot less worried because they're playing really well, and they're not playing anywhere near their capability, especially the first unit, but the second unit sure gives us hope that we can control some of the minutes of our players.
Well, look how smart this team is. You can maybe take one or two obvious exceptions out of that, but this team is pretty damn intelligent, for basketball and for life in general, I think.
You know who surprised me? I mean, Dwayne Wade being a playmaker and a point guard has surprised me. But what has surprised me more than anything is how much of many different things Channing Frye is giving this team.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't really been the typical Channing Frye that we know, who camps behind the three-point line, chucks up and heaves up a few threes, and that's it. He has played some defense down low. He's made some post moves down low. He's really helped in many small ways on the court, and really scoring hasn't been the big one. Yep. And Tony says Jeff Green. That's another guy.
I mean, I bang on about him every time I'm on here, I think, saying how good he's been. Yeah.
See, I don't think Jeff Green has been a stiff everywhere he's gone. I think Jeff Green is a person who is the veritable piece of chocolate cake, that a small piece is good, but the bigger the piece gets, the sicker you get eating it.
I think he fits into the environment where he's at, where if it's a shit environment, he ain't going to be all that good. And if he's in a great environment, then he's going to be good.
But one thing there's two things that I see Jeff Green doing for this team that is really big. There are sets that they're running where he actually is at the top of the key with the ball, and they allow him to blow by his man and go to the basket.
He does. He fucking does, man.
And that's resulted in some tremendous dunks.
That is impressive as hell when he does that.
Now,
yeah, because LeBron's usually off the floor, and he does that, and the other teams look at him and are like, oh my God, we got LeBron off, and we still can't gain any ground because we got this guy slamming at us. It's demoralizing.
The other thing that Jeff Green's done is that they can get the ball to him on the post, and it's really he is, because they're not going to double team Jeff Green, all right, because there's too many people who can hurt you.
Yeah.
And so Jeff Green is left in the box one-on-one with the guy covering him, and he's making that little bank shot, off the board from the post position. So that's the two. And the third thing he's doing is he's converting dunks in the open floor, where in the transition game. He's been very, very good for this team. So, a couple of surprise guys who are really coming through, and they're all figuring out how to play together. And I think that has really, more than anything, just been a huge, huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, I got a crazy optimistic comment to make about the Cavs. I think that Osman could actually turn into that somebody with that Dellavedova, scrappy, getting a second chance balls role, that the team hasn't had since Delly left.
What Cedi Osman has, all right, is what Joe Harris could never have.
Yeah.
And that's a little more height, a little more speed. He's kind of gangly and awkward. Cedi Osman is, but he is a high motor player, and there's nothing wrong with exposing a 22-year-old kid to the NBA, getting an opportunity to play 7, 8, 9 minutes in a game, and giving him an opportunity. He'll foul 3 times during the time he's on the floor. He makes an occasional three. He makes an occasional transition basket. He's learning the game at a completely different pace, but under a circumstance where he's experiencing it with all veteran players surrounding him.
I mean, he really does remind me of Delly's role when Delly was just learning how to play. And that was like, 2 years before, the championship season, when nobody really heard of him or had a crush on him.
Well, my feeling about Cedi Osman is it's a long way to go. And, playing in Turkey or wherever in Europe, it's much different than playing in the NBA. And the skill set that a guy like Cedi Osman has to be able to work on is, with his length, is to be able to play defense, to continue playing with a high motor, and to get loose balls, to give up your body, to use your length to out-rebound your man and help out to get extra possessions for your team. He is Craig Elo before Craig Elo developed a three. He's just got to go out and be rambunctious.
Yeah, well, that's fine. We needed somebody like that again.
Yeah. And Tony says he could be Sasha Pavlovic without the foul body odor. That's correct. And yeah, the thing with Osman is his best shot is a corner three, but his other 3-point shots not so good. He needs to work on the mechanics of his shot, and he just needs. It's not easy for him off the dribble to take people off the dribble in this level like he did in Europe. But
you know what? You could actually see improvement with this guy. He actually is getting better. You know, you can see that. Kaiser, you can't see that.
No, I mean, with Osman, the thing I noticed is that he can pass the ball. He's a guy who can do a little this and a little that. And I think the organization sees a gleam.
A gleam,
yeah. So,
gentlemen, there's a gleam, gentlemen.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I don't have anything really else to add to the misery that we had to watch again on Sunday, except to say, hey.
Yeah, I fell asleep. That's the thing to do, man.
Green Bay's coming to town, and without Aaron Rodgers, and here's a chance. Here's a chance for a win. I know, but here's a chance. And
no fucking way, man. There's no way we're winning.
Hey, it's possible that Kaiser gets hurt and somebody else could come in and help. I mean, anything's possible.
What, Colonel Logan?
I would honestly just like to see even a guy like Hogan, who's a little more accurate than Kaiser, get a chance to throw the ball to Coleman and to Gordon and to Njoku.
You and I might be more accurate,
Yeah, and Njoku. And see, because with those guys running down the seam of the field, there's always a chance in a big play if you can put it on the money. And, I mean, there were at least 3 occasions that Josh Gordon had beaten his man deep, and any one of those, a ball thrown correctly, would have resulted in a big play or a touchdown. And I would love to see this happen for somebody else to get an opportunity to throw to these players, because Kaiser is never going to have the accuracy to get it done.
And I also think he's a choker too. I think part of the problem is psychological, so that if he does see a guy finally get open, because they get open like once every 6 plays, that he can't handle it emotionally, and that's when it goes sailing over the guy's head. Or
one last thing,
something.
Hue Jackson after the game, regarding the strip sack, the Joey Bosa strip sack.
Yeah.
Deshaun knows that he can't make that play. And it's like, no, he doesn't know.
Not at all. No.
He has absolutely not a clue. I mean, did he really think that there was nobody in the same zip code as he when he had broken containment?
Well, that's very naive if he did think that.
I mean, does he realize the league that he's playing in, the closing speed of these monsters? I mean, does he even have a clue? It's really it's mind-boggling. Well, I got to get out of here because I want to prepare for my dinner, and then I'm watching the Cavs at 8 o'clock. That's 8 o'clock start for the Bulls. Yep.
All right, go Cavs, man.
Go Cavs. Thanks a lot for joining me. Go ahead and die on camera. This is important. You okay, Brunk? Expiration date. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again sometime later this week to talk about whatever the hell is coming next. Until next time, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.